to Redlands was interesting because I actually had never heard of the school before. I just heard about it through the guidance counselor at my high school, and came to the recruiter presentation from U of R. I had my heart set on a small private school, and I think I was adventurous enough of a kid that I wanted to just be a little further away from home, so Redlands ended up being perfect. The coach at Linfield actually recruited me pretty heavily, but when I got that call from Coach Brooks saying, you know, you're always going to be a student first, but I would really love it if you'd come down and run for Redlands, I was sold.
Well, Ken Reed was recruited by my predecessor, Clay Brooks, and in 1994 was when Ken came in. I was a graduate assistant. So I coached Ken as an assistant for a couple of years, left briefly for 6 months or so. I was coaching at Colgate, and then Clay Brooks retired, so I got the opportunity to go back and be the head coach. So Ken was there as a junior and a senior while I was the head coach.
One of the things I remember most about Ken as a teammate is that my junior year I transferred in and he was a freshman. Toward the end of the season, he was a minute behind me at one race, and at the next meet he was right next to me, and then the next meet, our conference championships, he was a minute ahead of me, and I just couldn't believe that he had improved that much that quickly, and I was a little bit envious of him, but very happy for him too.
My closest teammate at the U of R was Keith Morton, and he and I became lifelong friends even though we ran together just 1 year. He stayed in the area to go to medical school, and we actually became training partners afterwards. We would go down to LA and do lots of road races together, and we just spent a lot of time talking about life. He actually married a gal who was my classmate and fellow art major. So yeah, those were just special times with him. Other friends that were really impactful for me were my roommates, Cappy Capasola and Matt Mitchell. Me and those two guys, we went through a lot together, and they just always really kept me grounded and always kept me laughing too. Another mentor, in fact probably the guy who had the biggest impact on me at Redlands was Coach Belfield. Just a great guy, great sense of humor, really wise but yet personable and approachable. He was a good motivator, and he had a great way of just really relishing in your successes, being genuinely excited for you. I remember when I won Skyax and cross country my senior year, he just sprinted up to that finish line, bear hugged me, and he like yelled so loud. He was just so excited. He yelled so loud like my ears were ringing for like a minute or two. But yeah, he was just great impact on my life.
Ken had tremendous leadership even as a young athlete. He was dynamic. People were drawn to him. Definitely his character was phenomenal. He was just one of those guys that really enjoyed the sport. He loved life. He loved Redlands. And you could just tell by the way that people were drawn to him that this was a guy that you wanted on your team. The weather ended up being 90 degrees plus, Santa Ana winds, dry and nasty, and the conditions were really tough. I mean, I think everyone was at least a minute and a half off over that 8K distance, and with about 1,000 to go, Ken took the lead, and no one he wanted to go with, and he was able to win by I think about five or 6 seconds. So it was kind of a dramatic win, and I certainly remember all the celebration that was associated with that, and getting hoisted on the shoulders of teammates. It was pretty cool.
Probably the best running moment, the most poignant one for me was senior year Skyax Championships in track and field. We were at Claremont. The very last race of day one was the steeplechase, and there's no prelims, so it's just a big pack of guys. But me and the Oxy guy broke away from the pack pretty quickly, maybe 3 laps in, and we're just running together, going back and forth, really duking it out. I mean, not to be over dramatic, but I felt like it was an epic battle at the time. And the coolest thing, like most of the U of R track team all gathered on a hill that's just right off the track and started clapping in rhythm for me as I went by. And that was just a super special moment. And I think I really put it out there that day. Turns out I ended up in second place. He beat me that day. So I was pretty upset afterwards. I remember being on the bus just staring at my shoes. But it really hit me later, just what the moment truly meant. It didn't matter if I win or lost, but just the beauty of the fight. I think just the honor that there is in giving your best, in never giving up, and just really going for broke. I think that's really the lesson that hit home for me that day. And like I said, it didn't matter if I won or lost, but what I was able to take away from that and grow, I think is awesome and in a way life-changing.
I think when anyone can win a SCIAC title, it's a pretty big deal, and certainly maybe even just in and of that is deserving of a Hall of Fame nomination and induction. But it was his consistent excellence that really stands out to me. It came in as a freshman and was such a good racer that he was ready to step in when it counted and finish in the top 10 and get all SCIAC. So he was all conference 4 years running, made a contribution significantly in track and field as well, getting second in the steeplechase as a senior. But it was more than just his running performance. He was such a good leader. People were excited to be around Ken in practice and competition because he was so positive. And you know, he's a Redlands guy. I mean, he loved Redlands. His experience there was great, as far as I can tell, and it was just he was just a shining star for us at that time.
Being inducted into the U of R Hall of Fame, besides just being really exciting, kind of a cool deal, and a nice chance to get all your friends and family together to celebrate something too, is, for me, I think it's a great way to look back and remember and celebrate that short time in my life. My student-athlete experience at the University of Redlands was invaluable. I couldn't even measure the ways that it's impacted me. Sports and athletics are a big part of my life, and working at Nike, it's certainly not a requirement, but it definitely helps. But just discipline, pursuing your goals, dreaming, all those things and so much more. I miss the competition of it all, the camaraderie of the running community, and just being able to have this chance to just appreciate that time in my life is actually just really special to me.
Ken, I want to say congratulations on making it into the Redlands Athletic Hall of Fame. It's well deserved. You're a good runner, a good competitor, and a good teammate.
So I'm honored to have worked with Ken Reed 4 years at the University of Redlands, and particularly humbled to be the head coach of Ken Reed for those last 2 years, somebody who really helped me as a young head coach. So Ken, congratulations, and you certainly earned it, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee Ken Reed. Presenting Ken's plaque this evening is Jonathan Roska, his longtime friend and colleague.